You open your laptop to write one simple email again, and your fingers freeze. Not because you forgot what to say, because your brain keeps yelling, check, refresh, scroll, switch. You stare at the blinking cursor, and you feel this quiet panic rise in your chest, like your attention has been kidnapped and you don't know where it went. That feeling is The Heartbeat of Stolen Focus by Johann Hari. It's a book about why so many of us can't pay attention anymore, and why the usual advice is missing the point. You're going to learn the 12 deep causes behind the attention crisis, why it's not just a personal failure, and what actually helps you think deeply again without needing superhuman willpower. This video covers every major chapter, so by the end, you'll have the full picture. 9:30 on a Wednesday night. Sam opens a book he's been meaning to read for months, and his eyes slide off the first paragraph like water off glass. Then his phone vibrated once. He ignored it. Then it vibrated again, and his brain started itching, like a mosquito bite you can't stop scratching. By minute 15, he was not thinking about the work anymore. He was thinking about not checking the phone. That is when he realized something painful. The distraction wasn't outside him anymore. It had moved inside him. Okay, so if that was surprising, wait until you hear this. The third cause is physical and mental exhaustion. We treat focus like a moral virtue, but it is also a biological resource. If you are sleep deprived, overworked, undermoved, and stressed, your attention will collapse the way your legs collapse after running uphill too long. A lot of people are living in a permanent low-grade burnout. They sleep less, they work longer, they carry more uncertainty, and they are always on alert. And when your nervous system is stuck in that alert state, it becomes harder to sustain focus on anything that is slow, quiet, and demanding. Sam didn't think he was exhausted because he still functioned. He still showed up. He still answered messages. He still smiled in meetings. But when he finally looked closely, he saw it. He would fall asleep with his phone in his hand. He would wake up and check notifications before he even sat up. His attention was being asked to sprint while his body was running on fumes. That is like trying to play a piano concert with gloves on. But you won't feel the music and the mistakes will multiply. Now pay attention to this because it connects everything we've covered so far. Exhaustion makes you more distractible and distraction makes you more exhausted. When you keep switching, your brain never settles. When your brain never settles, you don't recover. And when you don't recover, you become even more vulnerable to anything that offers quick relief. The collapse of sustained reading. Johann Hari talks about how many people have lost the ability to read long texts the way they used to. Not because they became stupid, because their reading environment changed. We moved from deep reading to scanning, skimming, and sampling. Deep reading is a different mental gear. It requires building a rich model in your mind. When you read a novel, you track people, motives, and patterns across time. When you read a serious nonfiction book, you hold arguments and evidence together long enough to form an opinion. That's slow work. It is also the kind of work that strengthens attention. Sam had a moment with this that made him uncomfortable. He tried to read a classic novel he had always wanted to finish. He sat on the couch, put the book in his hands, and started. Within minutes, his mind began begging for novelty. He would glance at the page number, feel impatient, and think about what else he could do. He realized he had trained his brain to expect constant newness, like feeding a dog treats every 10 seconds. Because dinner is slow. So what's the fix? A lot of people think the fix is to force yourself to read more. That can help, but you are trying to do sustained reading in an ecosystem built to break it. It is like trying to keep ice from melting while someone is blasting the heater. Or you can turn down the heat. The disruption of mind wandering. This one sounds strange at first, because people think mind wandering is the enemy of focus. But the book argues that the right kind of mind wandering is essential. When your mind drifts in a calm way, it is not failing, it is processing, it is making connections. It is solving problems in the background. It is where creativity often comes from. The problem is not that the mind wanders. The problem is that we don't let it wander anymore. We fill every empty moment with stimulation. We stand in line and scroll. We wait for the elevator and scroll. And we reach for a device like we are allergic to silence. Sam noticed he had lost his ability to be bored. He used to have good ideas in the shower. He used to walk to a coffee shop and daydream. Now he would pull out his phone while walking, and by the time he arrived, he couldn't remember a single thought he had on the way. It was like his mind was a lake, and he kept throwing rocks into it so the surface never went still enough to reflect anything. Stay with me here because this next idea changes the game. The sixth cause is the rise of technology that can track and manipulate you. Johann Hari spends 2 chapters on this, and for good reason. This is not just about distraction as an accident. This is about distraction as a business model. A lot of modern technology is designed to capture attention and keep it. It learns what makes you click, what makes you angry, what makes you anxious, what makes you crave more, because your attention is valuable. Think of it like a casino that follows you around in your pocket. It is always open. It is always offering a new lever to pull. And the house has spent years studying exactly how your brain responds to rewards, surprises, and social approval. Sam didn't want to believe this at first. He thought, I'd choose what I do. So he did another experiment. He turned off all notifications for a week. He removed the loudest apps from his home screen. He told himself he'd only check them at specific times. For the first day, it felt fine. On the second day, he felt restless. On the third day, he felt irritated. And he caught himself unlocking his phone without even knowing why. He stared at the screen and thought, how did my body learn this habit without my permission? That is the point Johann Hari keeps returning to. A lot of this is not happening because you are weak. It is happening because powerful systems are designed to exploit predictable features of your mind. And this is where Sam's story takes a turn. Because he tried something extreme. He borrowed an old, simple phone from a family member. Big buttons, no apps, no endless feed. He kept his smartphone in a drawer at home, turned off like it was a dangerous tool he didn't want to casually touch. The first night felt strangely empty. He kept patting his pocket as if he lost something. Then, around 10:40, he felt a new sensation. Time. Not busy time. Open time. The kind of time that makes you notice how your own mind actually feels. But here's the crazy part. Removing the device didn't instantly fix his focus. It exposed the damage. His attention still jumped. His brain still craved novelty. And also hopeful, because it meant the real work was retraining, not just deleting apps. Johann Hari then moves into a chapter called The Rise of Cruel Optimism. This is a concept about being told to solve systemic problems with individual self-control. It's cruel because it makes you feel responsible for something you cannot fully fix alone. It's optimism because it sells a story that sounds empowering, but actually traps you. You have probably heard it. Just meditate. Just do a dopamine detox. Just be disciplined. Just set boundaries. And those things can help, and the book does not mock personal steps. But it argues that if the environment is attacking your attention every day, then personal tactics are like wearing a raincoat in a hurricane. But the storm still hits. Sam felt this in a very personal way. He bought productivity tools. He downloaded focus apps. He followed strict routines. He blamed himself when he failed, and then crash. Then he'd feel ashamed and try again. It was a treadmill. Cruel optimism is the story that says the treadmill is your fault. So why does this matter? Because the next chapter gives the first glimpses of the deeper solution. Johann Hari starts pointing toward changes that go beyond personal habits. He talks about the possibility of redesigning work, technology, and culture so that focus becomes normal again. This is where the book becomes both frustrating and energizing. Frustrating because it means you can't solve everything by yourself. Energizing because it means you are not broken. You are reacting normally to a broken setup. The surge in stress and how it triggers vigilance. Stress is not just a feeling. Stress changes how your brain allocates attention. When you are stressed, your brain scans for threats. That scanning mode is useful if you are in danger. It is terrible if you are trying to read, write, learn, or think creatively. A stressed mind is like a security guard who keeps checking every door and window. It cannot sit down and read a book because it thinks something might go wrong. Financial stress, social stress, information overload, uncertainty, conflict, and nonstop comparison. Sam had a week where stress made his focus almost impossible. His company was rumored to be restructuring. Nobody knew who would stay. Every day he checked internal messages like he was waiting for a verdict. He tried to do normal tasks, but his mind kept drifting to worst-case scenarios. He would read one email and then reread it, convinced he missed hidden meaning. He wasn't distracted because he didn't care. He was distracted because his brain was preparing for impact. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but stress is personal. By unstable work, constant demands, and environments that never allow recovery. Places that figured out how to reverse the surge in speed and exhaustion. Johann Hari describes real experiments where workplaces changed the structure of time and attention improved. One example in the book points to an office in New Zealand that tried a shorter work week and found that people became more productive and more focused when they had space to rest and think. This is not magic, it is basic physiology. If you stop grinding people down, their brains work better. Sam heard about this and laughed at first, and he thought my workplace would never do that. But then he tried a smaller version. He created a personal rule that he called protected mornings. No meetings before noon if he could help it. No switching tasks for the first 2 hours. He told his team he would respond later unless it was urgent. Like he was breaking an unspoken law. But around 10:15, something happened. He was writing, and he didn't feel the itch to check anything. He was inside the work. He felt steady. And he realized he hadn't felt that in months. It's like when you finally step out of a noisy room and notice your ears ringing. You don't realize how loud it was until the noise stops. A calmer schedule makes you notice how chaotic the old schedule was. Our deteriorating diets and rising pollution. This is one of the most uncomfortable parts of the book because it reminds you that attention is not only psychological, it is physical. Your brain is an organ. It depends on sleep, nutrients, stable blood sugar, and a healthy environment. When diets deteriorate and pollution rises, attention can suffer. You don't need to be an expert to understand the basic idea. If you put low-quality fuel in a car, it runs worse. The answer might not be discipline. It might be biology. Sam noticed a pattern. On days when he ate poorly, he felt jittery and scattered. On days when he ate more steadily, he felt calmer. He used to treat food like it had nothing to do with focus. He started seeing it differently. It was a bodily state. The rise of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and how we are responding to it. Johann Hari explores the way society is diagnosing and treating attention problems, especially in children, and he pushes the viewer to ask a broader question. And we treat the individual as the problem? This is sensitive territory, and the book is careful to show that people experience real suffering. It also asks whether we are ignoring the role of school structures, technology, stress, sleep, and environment. The point is not to deny that attention struggles exist, and then medicalize the response. Sam had a moment of realization when he watched his little cousin try to do homework. The kid had a tablet, a phone, and a laptop all nearby. Notifications popped up. Videos suggested themselves. The kid tried to focus, failed, got frustrated, and then felt ashamed. Sam looked at that setup and thought, and if you built a focus-destroying machine on purpose, you would build exactly this. And then you would blame the kid for being unable to fight it. Because 12 is the confinement of our children, both physically and psychologically. The book argues that kids used to have more freedom to roam, explore, and play, and that this kind of free play matters for attention development. When children are confined indoors, heavily supervised, constantly scheduled, and also saturated with screens, they can lose the kind of deep engagement that comes from real-world play. A child building a fort, inventing a game, exploring outside, or getting lost in imaginative play is practicing focus, not forced focus, natural focus. The kind that happens when something is meaningful. This isn't nostalgia. It's a question about what kind of life trains attention. Often a life that is constantly interrupted and monitored teaches the brain to be jumpy. A life with long stretches of play and exploration teaches the brain to sustain interest. Sam thought about his own childhood and realized something. And boredom led to creativity. He used to spend hours on one thing. Now he rarely did. He wasn't just missing focus. He was missing a certain kind of living. They think the solution is to fight their brains harder, but Johann Hari ends with a different call. He calls it an attention rebellion. An attention rebellion starts with refusing shame. It starts with recognizing that your focus is not a personal defect. It is being pulled at by speed, stress, exhaustion, manipulation, and environment. Personal changes that are realistic, and collective changes that push back against systems that profit from distraction. Sam's final story is not a miracle transformation. It is something smaller and more believable. He picked one evening per week where he would go offline on purpose. He told 2 friends to meet him at a quiet coffee shop at 7. He left his phone at home. The first time, he felt weird, like he forgot his shoes. But after a while, the conversation slowed down. He listened more, and he thought more carefully before he spoke. And he realized he had been living like his mind was always somewhere else. He also changed his work habits. He stopped pretending he could switch constantly and still think deeply. He set blocks of time for single tasks. He pushed back on unnecessary meetings. He made sleep non-negotiable. He ate in a steadier way. He built small pockets of boredom into his day, like walking without headphones or sitting for 5 minutes without input. And slowly, his attention started to return. Not perfectly, not forever, but noticeably. It's like rebuilding a muscle. You don't lift one weight and become strong. You train consistently, and your body adapts. Attention is like that. If you treat it as a resource worth protecting, it grows. If you treat it as an endless supply, it breaks. Now, after everything we just covered, here are a few things you can start doing right now based on what Johann Hari lays out. First, stop framing your distraction as a character flaw. That sounds small, but it changes your whole strategy. When you replace shame with curiosity, you start asking better questions like, what is actually pulling me away right now, and what is fueling that pull? Second, create one protected block of time each day where you do one thing only and make it physically harder to switch. Put the phone in another room. Close extra tabs. Let your brain feel the discomfort of boredom without immediately rescuing it. It is withdrawal from constant novelty. Third, rebuild deep reading slowly. Do not start by demanding an hour of focus if you can barely do 10 minutes. Start with 10 minutes of uninterrupted reading, and then increase it over time, like training for a run. Fourth, protect sleep and recovery the way you would protect your wallet. If you are exhausted, your focus will be fragile, and every distraction will feel irresistible. Finally, look for small ways to rebel against the attention economy. You can turn off notifications, remove the most manipulative apps, and create screen-free spaces, but you can also support workplaces, schools, and communities that respect focus. The deeper lesson of this book is that attention is not just personal, it is something we build together or lose together. When you treat focus like it matters, you start living like it matters. And that shift makes everything else easier. Sam learned the biggest truth of the book in a sentence that surprised him. Your attention is your life. Where you place it is what you become. And if you do not choose it, something else will choose it for you, loudly, constantly, and for profit. That's it for this video. I hope it was useful and gave you something real to think about. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.